language is actually used by a lot of insurance companies, including probably the insurance companies you use. But it's based on the JVM, so it runs on the JVM, which is the Java virtual machine, what Java runs on, if you don't know. It's statically typed, like Java and a lot of other languages, with type inference, which is kind of nifty. It has closures or blocks or lambdas or whatever you want to call them. It's also imperative, object-oriented, and entirely Java compatible. So you can do anything that you, anything that you can do in Java, you can do in Gosu. Just in case you can't hear me, now you can. It also has an open type system, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So what does it look like? It looks like, there's a couple things I want to point out here. You see there's a function definition at the top. We have function, the keyword, names, the argument. On the second line, there's a default argument in case you don't want to put it in for some reason. And in the method, we have this extra thing on the list of strings. And here you can see the block. That's what the slash with the name and the arrow and everything is. So we're saying for the list of names that was passed in, do this thing to each of them. And all I'm really doing is just printing it with a prefix. So down below, I have my variable first names. The Alice, Bob, Eve thing, the type of that is actually like a Java array list of strings. So you can do anything that you like doing to your lists to it. And here I'm sort of demonstrating the default parameter. And so both, like, this would entirely compile right here. Some sort of cool things about it. I do have to point out that I'm not a language expert, so if you have really technical questions, I can point you where to go, but I might not be able to answer them myself. So you can do composition in Java, where if you have your two entirely unrelated objects, and you want them to share some code, some functionality. But it's kind of complicated. So my example here is I have a dog and a lizard, but they're both four-legged, so they both need to walk. So how do I share that when they're not coming down from the same family of animals? So I have a really abbreviated example here. So I have my dog class here, and you see, it's implementing this interface, I four-legged. But then underneath that, there's this interesting little delegate thing represents I four-legged. And so what's that doing is it's taking my I four-legged interface, which is in the middle, and it's basically adding that to the dog class. So anything that delegates to that will just be able to use it as if it's part of the object. So if I also added it to lizard, then you could walk both of them. Here's the open type system that I was talking about. This is probably the bit I know the fewest technical details about. Like, I use it a lot at work, but I don't necessarily know how it works. So their meta types, like the really base type that all of the other objects are based on, and the type loader are all interfaces. So they're really extensible. Probably the simplest example is if you have a properties file for your configuration, you can reference it in Gosu like you would any other type. So you include it, and then you can just say, whatever my property is, example of whatever my property is. I'm running out of time. You can also, one of my favorite bits is enhancements. So you can, like, even existing Java types or existing types that you wrote, you can just add an enhancement. And so by adding this, on any string in my system, I can call the prefix method on it, any of them. And you can pretty much do it in any types. That's actually, yeah, so, and then I have, the obligatory list of links. Ronin is sort of similar to Rails that was written to, mostly so people could try to use this. It comes with a data layer too. And the backstory, if you're sort of interested, might be interesting. I don't know. I thought it was interesting when I started working. It's basically scripting for Java.